Welcome, race fans, once again here to Virtual Racing Network. As you can see right now, we are here at Daytona International Speedway with what is set to be a fantastic race. 30 drivers here, and we'll see if any more do connect. What a field here for this first race of the CarKeepers.com Super Speedway Series. But of course, before we get into all of that stuff, we want to thank all of the partners here that make this broadcast and race possible, starting, of course, with Walls Beard Co. If you have a beard, gentlemen, you need to go check them out. WallsBeardCo.com. Make sure you get some of their beard balm. Not only is it all natural and organic products, it will make you feel good, and you'll smell good all day with lots of different scents to pick from. SimSpeedShop.com, your one-stop shop for button boxes and e-brakes. If you are an iRacer, these are two essential items here that you must get. So head on over to SimSpeedShop.com to pick up these items today. Northwest Racing Series, they are actually done at the moment with their points racing. They do have a little fun series going on starting next Thursday. If you're looking to get into some Xfinity Racing fixed series on Monday nights or some truck open sets on Thursday night, we go live with those about 8:30 Pacific, 10:30 Central. So make sure you head on over to a Northwest Racing Series on iRacing. If you're looking to get into that, of course, you must be in the Northwest Racing Club. And if you're looking to get some IndyCar racing into your life, you can head on over to Ohio IndyCar League. They are no longer just taking Ohio club members, so you can get in there. Also, you can get all the latest information at facebook.com/Ohio IndyCar League. And, of course, iBog, iRacing Broadcast Overlay Graphics. He will be driving in this race tonight. So look out for Jason Allison, the number 28. And, of course, he is your sim race broadcast graphic source. If you're looking to get into broadcasting or just need some overlays made for streaming, you can head on over to ibog.co and take care of that. And, of course, your pre-race interview is presented by Randy's Wraps. Hopefully we will have time to get that in tonight. We did start a little bit later than normal due to the fact this is race number 1. We don't have any point standings to go over or anything like that. So we did start a little bit later than we typically will. We will be starting about 10 minutes earlier next week once we have those point standings to go over. But we'll hopefully have time to get a quick interview with a driver here shortly. On the racing side of things, the main sponsor putting this on here, of course, CarKeepers.com. You've got to head on over to CarKeepers.com where they keep you moving without the hassle. So nice catchphrase there, and that is what you want in a car dealership. Obviously, you want to keep going here without the hassle. So head on over to CarKeepers.com and check them out, especially if you are in the business of looking for a car. And we do, of course, have one other one that we will mention here. That is just for tonight's race anyway. We'll mention that it's a little here is National Pool Wholesalers. They are coming on board for tonight. They are going to give $10 to the pole sitter, and at the halfway mark, whoever's leading the halfway mark to complete lap 40 will also get $10. So somebody could walk away with $10, or they could walk away with $20. We will find out here shortly if they are going to do that and who it will be. We are going to step away for just a moment here, get some last-minute stuff set up, and we will be right back. All right, we are back here. We're gonna see if we can't get two people in here real fast for the Randy's Wrap, of course, pre-race interview. Let's see if we can get them here. I don't think they're in a meeting. All right, Ted Manning, Mitch Beaver, I got a copy.
Yes, sir. What's up, buddy?
10-4 there, Charles. 10-4.
Well, we, of course, like to have our pre-race show here for the pre-race interview here in the post. Wow, we'll get it right out today here in the pre-race show. Normally, we'll talk to a driver. Y'all are racing here, but since it is the first race, we want to talk to y'all about the league, what it's about, if anybody's looking to get in here to race with this. But quite frankly, I don't know if we can fit many more people in here.
Hey, that's a blessing, man. It's a blessing and a curse, really. As far as what the league is about, I honestly don't think we can continue too much further without bringing my father, Rick Beaver, up in here. I really feel like he should be a part of this, if anything, to hear about it. But he is the name behind Car Keepers. The league as itself is... The league itself, okay, I'll do a little shout out here again. I just want to say a huge thanks to Rick Beaver, this here team speak, and he's done a huge thing here. He's really helped promote this thing financially, and he's always stood behind me in anything that I've ever wanted to do. He actually got me into iRacing about a year ago, and I said one day, I said, hey, me and my buddies have been doing this league thing, and we're looking for some sponsorship, and he said, well, where do I sign? And that was a huge thing, so I want to give a big shout out to him. But the league as a whole, we're looking for guys that want to come out and do some bump drafting on some plate tracks and have some good fun, elbows up, clean racing. That's all we're about. We're a drama-free environment. We do not stand for any of the BS that a lot of the other things come up with, especially like official racing. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air from official racing and you really like plate tracks, this is the place for you. You can check us out at facebook.com/CarKeepers Super Speedway Series, or you can check us out at carkeepersseries.com, or you can just look for us on any other form of social media. We're on the same tag. Or you can look up Mitch Beaver on Facebook or Ted Manning on Facebook. We're very easy people to get a hold of. We're very easy people to get along with, and we really just enjoy presence of other guys and that really love racing.
Definitely, we've been talking to both of y'all here lately, and even pulling in some dirt drivers here. I know a lot of the guys on iRacing, especially with dirt, have been complaining about how it's broken. So we had to have some dirt drivers that I recognize over here starting to come over to the asphalt side of things, so we're pulling them to the dark side here. We do have about 30 seconds left before we go to the national anthem. So we talked to Mitch. Ted, any final words out there for the fans that you want to shout out before we go to the national anthem?
Just a big shout out to everybody who came out here tonight. I think our first race ever, we had probably 15 drivers for the season 1, and this is our first race for season 2, and we have 30-something drivers, so that's just absolutely amazing, and we're going to have one hell of a season, man.
Definitely is. We're glad to be here. That being said, it is time for the national anthem, so we will be right back with qualifying after your national anthem.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave the home of the brave.
All right, we are back here. Qualifying is underway, and it seems only fitting as we drop down to the track here to pull up your driver bar for the number 3 of Rick Beaver. Of course, the CarKeepers.com owner here, getting this league its funding here for the broadcast and to keep going. So what better way than to start with the 3 here for qualifying? And nobody has put a time in just yet. Anybody that's familiar with racing, especially here at Daytona, Talladega, these super speedways, it's going to take a little bit of time for these cars to get up to speed and get around this track. So we'll just have to hang it tight here as they're coming out of the corner. They will run the high side here a little bit on their first lap. They will take to that high side, and you'll see them go to the bottom for their what is considered a heater lap, or their first timed lap. Again, they have 3 laps here, so we'll see how it plays out with everybody. But everyone right now should be just about starting, if not have already started their first time. And it looks like they are, as Scott Leitner is going to run a 48.403. Again, these guys will run a little bit faster times, about 2 seconds faster with a group of cars. So we'll be looking for that. Right now, Jason Papp is your pole sitter with a 48.217 as we'll pull up your top 20 times here for qualifying. And some really good times at that for qualifying, but they will get a little bit faster once we get to the actual racing and these guys start drafting. One thing we do want to point out here while we're in qualifying, they do have a 3-wide rule. I may have to get a little clarification on it. I'm not sure if that is the entire race they can't go 3 wide, or if it's just for the set amount of laps. But we will definitely have to get a clarification on that, as Daniel Holloway is going to take it to the top of the charts in the number 21 machine with a 47.22. As now Abraham Bauer is going to take it to the top of the 47.719, and just like that, Justin Levine is going to take it to the top of the 47.695. So these times are starting to get a little bit faster here once we've done it here on their second lap, as this will be his second lap. I do believe it is. We'll see if he can top that time just a little bit more. Again, we do apologize in advance if we mispronounce any names here. We are going to do our best. This is the first race, but anything we do mistake, please let us know, and we'll try to correct it as soon as possible. But Justin Michael is going to take it to the top with a 47.558. Gary Chapman's going to take it to second with a 47.560. And one of our dirt guys coming over here, that is Nathan Davis. Used to run dirt. I'm not sure if he ran asphalt before he ran dirt, or if he came on here just for dirt, but he is bringing it to the asphalt side of things here for tonight's race. Donovan ran to 6th place right now with a 47.587. Is one of the other dirt drivers here. Corey Henry, the 03, going to take it to the top of the charts with a 47.537. What a run. 0.004 faster than Scott Warren, who took it to second just now. So a lot of time starting to come in, and it's getting really close here, as you have people separated in your top 10 by no more than 0.055. That is all they are separated by right now. With 15 seconds left on the clock, there's still a few drivers out there that have not qualified. Jarrett Warren, Nathan Hall, Brandon Wilson, and Marcus Brown have not qualified. But so far, I don't think they are going to come out, and that's going to do it here for qualifying, as it is done. Your pole sitter will be Corey Henry to come out first. What a race. We're going to get straight into the grid here, as we have a ton of drivers to go over. So So we are going to get down there as soon as they start getting onto the grid to let you know who officially is going to be starting where here for the Walls Beard Co. starting grid. And it looks like we do have our second chair here. Had to pull him in at the last minute here. So Jeff, welcome to Daytona.
Hey Charles, how's it going, man? Glad to be here. I'm a little late. I apologize for that. It's kind of a last minute thing for me here, and not real familiar with a lot of these drivers, but I am familiar with iRacing, oval racing, and Daytona. So looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it ourselves. And again, we're not 100% familiar with these. I'm not either, as this is a brand new league for us. It's not a new league by any means, but it is to us, as we just picked them up here for the first race. And with 30 cars, we got to get to the grid pretty quick here so we can get them all done. This is a 2.5 mile track, though, so we have a little bit of time. And I'm guessing you're all loaded in. If you are, do you want to run through our first, say, 8 rows, so 16 drivers?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Starting on the pole is the 03 car of Corey Henry. Outside row 1 is the 76 of Scott Warren. Inside row 2, Justin Michael in the 87 car, and outside of him in row 2, we've got the 18 car of Gary Chapman. In row 3, we've got the 20 of Derek Walker and the 36 of Nathan Davis. On to row 4, we've got the 4 of Chris Ackers and the 420 car of Donovan Ranta. In row 5, we've got the 26 of Chase Galvin. And outside of row 5, we got the 350 of Alex Kinsler. And if I got that wrong, I apologize, Alex. Row 6, we've got the 50 car of Jeffrey Meyer. And outside him, we got the 72 of Daniel Jackson. In row 7, in 13th place inside there, we've got the 28 of Jason Allison. And just on the outside of him, we've got the 1 of Justin Levine. And in row 8, in position 15, we've got 21 of Daniel Holloway. And rounding out our top 16 is the 66 of Scott Leitner.
In row 9 is going to be the 12 of Abraham Bauer. Hopefully I did get that name right there. We do apologize if we didn't. In the 00 of Dwayne Cooper. Row 10 is going to be the 411 of Eric Green and the 69 of Kerry Cleaver. Row 11 is going to be the 13 of Ted Manning and the 32 of Alexander Russell. Row 12 is going to be the 63 of Joseph Burton and the 3 of Rick Beaver. Row 13, I'm not sure what his number is. It's a white number there. That is Jason Papp and the 25 of Mitch Beaver. Row 14 is going to be the 39 of Jacob Sawyer and the 82 of Daniel Harrington. Row 15 is going to be the 501 of Brandon Wilson and the 53 of Nathan Hall. And rounding out row 16 is going to be the 101 of Marcus Brown and the 23, I believe that is, of Jarrett Wilson. And that will do it here for the Walls Beard Co. starting grid as the pace car has dove off. Green flag in the air just in time. And we are racing again. Jeff, I was reading, I don't know how long it lasts or if it's the full race. They do have a 3-wide rule here where they're not allowed to do it. I just don't know if that's for the first part of this race or the entire race.
Yeah, that would be definitely a good piece of information to have. You know, it's not easy to run 3-wide here at Daytona. It's not like Talladega. There's just not a lot of markers out there. I mean, there's enough width and it can be done. But unless you got a whole group full of really, really good guys that can really keep a straight line and not look at the car in front of them and figure out how to run their line, it's very hard to go 3-wide. So I like that rule. You know, at the end of the race, I would imagine we might see some if that rule's relaxed. Be a good piece of information to get. Maybe we can get that on a caution.
Yeah, definitely have to. And right now, they're really just single file, it looks like. You know, how they're racing right now almost looks more like a, like a Charlotte or another track. They're spread out. They're not really working on 2 lanes right now. They're kind of single file. and trying to find where they want to be. It's more like a shorter track than it is a Daytona, but I think once they get grouped up here, we're going to see some good two-way battling. But currently right now, single file seems to be what they want to do.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of an outside row there, but they're losing some ground. We've only got 3 guys up front there trying to hold the outside. Unless these 3 guys could just really get bumper to bumper, it's going to be hard to hold ground with only 3. They may need 4 or 5. Probably just lose a little bit at a time. If they can get it sucked up here, keep it straight, you can actually probably hang in there pretty good with 2 guys, but it really requires some aggressive driving that maybe, nobody really wants to get into this early. As I see a 4th car finally pulled out there, and we'll see if that's enough to get this outside line moving a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who that was. Somebody was blinking extremely bad there just for a minute, but it looks like it's calmed down. One thing I want to note here is I talked about it a little bit during qualifying. Your leader right now, Corey Henry in the 03, the 20 of Derek Walker, and a little bit back here, the 36 of Nathan Davis. Those are 3 drivers, 3 very good drivers that finally said, we've had enough of dirt being broke, and they're over here running in the top 10 right now at Daytona with a group of 30-plus cars.
Well, I'll tell you what, I get the benefit of having my timing screen here, which gives me a little bit of information on these guys like license level and iRating, which if you're not familiar with iRacing so much, if you're a family member watching, iRating is kind of a computer algorithm that just tries to calculate your skill level based on how you perform against people you're racing with in public matches. So not always accurate, but we can use it to kind of gauge experience level. And I'd say, the guys you mentioned, this isn't their first rodeo here on the oval side of things on running on pavement here. It looks like they've been around. Maybe they've done some dirt there for a little bit here recently, but I don't think they're new to this kind of racing.
Yeah, definitely. We don't know how much they've done for sure, but you're right, Corey Henry, your leader right now, almost about 3,600 iRating. Again, for anyone who's unfamiliar, you start with what I believe 1,200, so over double what he started with. So he's definitely been on the asphalt quite a bit here, doing some work, and it's showing right now as a true driver running both dirt and asphalt, and doing a very good job at it, leading this field right now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pull some numbers out of thin air here. There's nothing behind them, but I believe I've read in other places about 1,700 is probably about average for an oval racer iRating, and I would guess that somewhere around that 3,500 to 4,000 range is probably going to put you in the top 10 to 15% of most iRacers. So that's pretty good, pretty significant numbers there.
Yeah, and speaking of how significant that is, one of the other ones back there, Derek Walker, right now 4,500. So you got some good drivers in here. The one of Justin Levine, hopefully we'll get that right, 4,200. So there are some really heavy hitters in this league, and it's showing right now that we have so far completed 7 laps caution-free. You think 7 laps, that's not that many, but you look at some like races like the Carb Cup and places, that's still quite a few laps that you haven't had a caution compared to some races.
Well, and if we're going to talk about iRating, again, not familiar with this league, I just scanned it up and down, and we've got some really good guys in here, several above average guys, but we've got a few guys that look like maybe they're a little bit newer to the service too. I mean, we've got guys that are ranging from about 600 to about 4,500 or 5,000. So we've got some top few percent. We've got some guys that look like they're new, and that could present a challenge in the super speedway racing. Because it really is about knowing who you're running around and getting around guys that, you got to make, have time to react here. You almost have to pre-plan your reactions, and when something goes awry, you've got to know what the guy next to you is going to do if you want to survive a plate race. And when you've got a mix of guys like this, it can be a real challenge, and it requires a lot of patience.
Yeah, it definitely does. And looks like they're actually coming around here to the 31 of Nathan Hall. They're fixing to put him a lap down already early in this race. Again, 80 laps, and we're only on lap 8 right now. Going a lap down really isn't that big of a deal, I don't think, if he can get that lap back later on. it is Daytona. I would imagine we will have a caution. The question is, at any plate track like this, will it be the big one? If it is a big one, who will be involved and how many will be involved?
Yeah, and we've got broken up into a couple of groups here. So, you know, we know that more than likely something's going to happen. It's inevitable. Even running single file like this, you feel like this is somewhat safe. But the problem is, if something happens up front, somebody's not paying attention, and they have to check up because the guy in front of them's checking up, because you're the car behind you with the draft, you're going to be a little bit faster than the guy in front of you. If you're sleeping, then you got to get on brakes a little bit harder, and the guy behind you is maybe sleeping a little bit too. And so what happens, you get this giant accordion effect. And inevitably, you know, somewhere back there, it's too big for these guys to react to, and you get that wreck. So even running single file like this, we're liable to see something. Not really going to be necessarily anybody's fault. Maybe a bunch of people contribute to it, but at least with a couple of different packs here, maybe we're not going to affect the whole field. So yeah, we're probably going to see a caution, and we're spread out enough. Maybe it won't be that big.
Yeah, it will definitely see, and we've talked about it before. These guys, especially second group back here, you know, they're in a group. They could possibly get up there, kind of maybe hanging back to wait and see if the big one happens. Then you have more time to react. We've seen that, and we've talked about it quite a bit here. But real fast, before we get to that, I did forget to mention this during qualifying. I did mention it before. But we did want to throw this out there one more time, of course. National Pool Wholesalers, as we throw their logo up there for you in the corner, they were the award here. $10 going to Corey Henry for winning the pole, and they are also giving $10 at the completion of halfway. So when we complete lap 40, whoever will be out front, or whoever's out front, will also get $10 too. Forgot to throw that in there one more time. So they do have something here. Even if you don't win the race, there's something to get here, even at halfway.
So I hate to ask, but because I'm supposed to know these things, but since I'm a last-minute fill-in here, maybe you can forgive me. Does that mean we've got stages in this race? Are we going to have a stage and a cautionary halfway through the race, or is this just we're picking it at lap 40, the winner there?
Just picking at lap 40. They actually did vote on the stages, and it didn't pass. The majority didn't do it, so no, not doing stages, just at the halfway point.
Okay, good to know. I think we'll get a caution. A bunch of this field up here at some point anyways. Not sure stages are that important in super speedway racing. Although I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed here so far. You know, these guys are getting around the, track single file, double file, and I don't even think we've had a close call yet.
Yeah, we have really not. They've got single file here. You do have a group back here, a little ways. It looks like about 7th or 8th place. Scott Warren, Justin Levine, Daniel Holloway. These guys are starting to look out there, potentially wanting to make it too wide again. But again, with about 6 versus 3, you're probably not going to get up there. However, if they can get the 20 of Derek Walker up there with them and make this a 5-on-4, not necessarily the best chance, but they have somewhat of a chance.
You know, if I've got a group of good drivers up front, which is typically where your front drivers end up, and again, if I'm going to use my I rating here, I'm going to say most of this front pack is some of the better drivers here in this league. I actually feel more comfortable running 2 wide than single file, just for that reason. I don't have to worry about the checkup and maybe somebody kind of lulling themselves to sleep a little bit necessarily as much when I'm running 2 wide. My biggest fear is somebody not being able to hold a line. And, with drivers this good up front in this front pack, I'm probably not too worried about that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I haven't been on the track as much as I'd like to, as far as the how the draftings work. Because, we got the 18 going around. Right as we say that, caution is out. And I'm not sure he had much help there. We're going to see that is Gary Chapman in the 18. And they are spreading everywhere to avoid him, and they can't do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what happened here. I can't tell if he got a little bump there or not, but he was moving around just when we were talking about going straight. Looked like maybe he slid across the bumper of that car behind him. Hard to say. And like you said, hit the wall, got sideways, and collected quite a few guys with him there.
Yeah, we're going back to watch the replay here. I'm not sure. I believe he got a little tap from somebody, maybe the 32. I'm not sure who that was. A red car that was up there. He did get a little bump from him, and that kind of put him out of shape. And then just beyond that, the 25, the 00, just havoc ensuing behind him. But I'm not sure who that was. I believe it was the 76 of Scott Warren that just gave him a slight little tap to the back bumper, and he was kind of wiggling back and forth anyway. And you've seen it; it's that little hook that'll give you around there.
Yeah, it's with these cars. We can put the bumper to somebody and actually make ourselves a little bit faster. We can push the guy in front of us, but there's an art to it. And when I say art, I mean like skillful art. If you're going to put the bumper to somebody, and it takes two, the guy in front of you has got to be perfectly straight, and you've got to be. You guys, you got to hit them square. You got to hit them pretty much in the center, and you can't be sliding across bumpers at all. And we had a little bit of everything. Maybe looked like it went wrong there. Not blaming anything at all. Obviously, we're not down there on the track, but we'll see later stages of the race. Some of the better guys may be able to make up some ground putting a bumper to each other, but. In this particular instance, the very thing that we said we thought this front pack could avoid looks like maybe it got him a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing it will do too, obviously, like you said, just a few moments before that happened, is this caution will bunch the field back up. And so it looks like everybody, for the most part, came down pit road. However, Corey Henry's still going to remain out front. And if you want, while we have him here, you want to run through our top 10 after caution number 1.
Yeah. Right now, and of course we got some pits going on there, so hard to say. At least if I'm caught up to speed here, it looks like they're coming off. I'm showing Corey Henry, and the 03 car there still on the pole. He's led most of the race here. And in P2, I've got Justin Levine in the 1 car. In P3, we've got Justin Missel in the 87. Fourth place, we got the 21 of Daniel Holloway. Scott Warren in the 76 survived that one there, and hangs in the 5th. Derek Walker in the 20 car is in 6th place. We got Chase Galvin, the 26 car, in 7th place. Chris Askers and Jason Allison, the 4 and the 28 car in 8 and 9. And then rounding out your top 10, we've got the 12 car of Abram Bauer.
So a lot of good drivers up here. Again, we can't say, the regulars or anything like that we see, because this is race number 1 here. New for us, new for them. Some of them anyway. Some of them have been here. So it's new to us anyway. So maybe next week, it may take us a couple of weeks here to see who the regulars are. I almost don't know if you could say there's regulars, up front when you're running super speedways like this. As, it can drastically change from week to week.
I think... it can, and if you just come in at any one super speedway race and watch it and say, these are your best drivers, you won't get an accurate picture. But I think when you see a full season, you're going to see the guys that possess the traits that we talked about a little bit earlier, kind of consistently trend to the top, because they're going to be the guys that maybe they don't have time to react, but they do have the ability to anticipate things going wrong and try to get themselves out of harm's way before it even happens. If you see some racing up around you and you don't like it, and you don't see the people up there that you're comfortable can handle it, it's time to find a new place to be, and that's where you'll see some guys. Maybe they'll make an aggressive move to get past it, or maybe they'll jump up and drop to the back, or maybe they'll just make sure they out-qualify everybody and hang up front. But there's 2 components to super speedway racing. The first one is understanding the draft, because you need the draft to get up front. And the second one is having the driving ability and the ability to see and avoid the things that are going to happen in the draft when cars are running 6 inches off each other's bumpers and doors at 200 miles an hour. The slightest little wiggle is a problem, and if you're good enough to not have that happen and cause that, then you'll survive a lot more. And if you're good enough to see that coming and avoid that, you'll do even better.
Definitely very good advice for anyone out there that's on iRacing. You got to be very conscious and self-aware of what's around you. and looking for stuff like that to happen, and that is what keeps you alive here at Daytona and Talladega, is what the two tracks they do run here. It looks like we're on the backstretch, going on to the backstretch right now. We are currently 18 laps in, going to be starting lap 19 once we go green. Seems like a good time as any here. What do you think, Jeff, to go a little VRN crank it up style here at Daytona?
Oh, man, I love me some crank it up at Daytona. Let's do it.
Well, it definitely is. They're on the backstretch here. We are going to go radio silent here, and then we'll be back here in just a little bit here in a lap or two with some VRN crank it up. We are back here, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to get back to our main camera here. At least one of them. We'll go back to this one. Here, green flag still in the air, lap 21, and Corey Henry still out front. Justin Michael right behind him in second. And once again, we've seen him go single file already. And we did get confirmation about the three-wide rule. For anyone that was out there in chat wondering, we got a poke here in TeamSpeak. That is only for the first half of the race. So, it's kind of a nice rule. I like it. It's going to keep this field intact for the first half of the race. However, that second half, anything could happen.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, not sure what happened there, but I saw the 411 car there just as we came back on go green, take her into the infield there and slow it down. So I don't know if he got bumped out of line or if dinner was ready, but something happened there, and the 411 had to get out of line and pulled over in the infield there. So it looks like he might be out of the race.
He is indeed. He has now packed it up in the hauler and decided he wanted to take it to the trailer again. Not sure, maybe something happened to the car. Maybe dinner was ready, but something happened, and he is out of the race now. Meanwhile, at the front, we have a really, I think, 2 or 3 distinct groups here. As you have the front group here, with about 9-10 cars or so, about 9 cars, and you have about a group of 4 or 5, and then you have your next group here of about another 10 cars, and then another little group behind them of 10 cars. So they're starting to kind of get into little cliques here and get into small groups, which could make it very interesting to see who's going to work with who later in this race.
Yeah, and it's actually about that third or fourth group. It seems like they're getting about the most sporty back there. As I say that, we've got a couple cars up front here making a second line there. I'm not sure. I think the second car is the 21. So the 1 and the 21 looks like they're teammates here, and trying to get a second line going there. But pretty much the first 2-3 groups are running single file, and then we had a little bit of double file in the back.
Yeah, and it would look like there for a little bit. The 21, that is Daniel Holloway, was behind his teammate. It doesn't look like he wanted to fully commit to going to the outside. However, his teammate did. If that is his teammate, of course, in the 1, obviously they probably are based on paint jobs here. He committed, and of course, you can't leave your teammate out there to dry, so he commits to it as well. And it looks like they're going to get the 76 of Scott Warren to get behind him and team up with him, and they may get another driver back there. I'm not sure who that is. I believe that's the 4 of Chris Akers that's going to get back there and help him as well.
Yeah, and that inside line's not sucked up real well right now. So with 3 cars on the outside line, they may be able to get 1 or 2 cars by unless they can get that 20 car to suck up there on the inside. Not liking just having 2 cars there to keep the lead. They're going to have to run real tight and maybe even put a bumper to each other here. And as it looks like maybe now they're still not getting that line sucked up. So, and we see the outside line starting to prevail a little bit.
Yeah, the outside line is definitely moving to the front. If they can get up there, that is the 1 of Justin Levine or Levine. Hopefully we'll get a clarification on that for the next race. But either way, the 1 and now the 87 is going to try to get in there. But those 2 are battling side by side. But I think the 1 and maybe the 21 could possibly get something by the 03 of Corey Henry, who, note, has led every lap here. So 25 laps led for the 03 of Corey Henry.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask if the 87 was maybe working with Corey Henry, but he popped out on the outside, and Corey Henry with a nice move to block. And the 87 jukes him and comes back down to the inside and gets away with the lead. So just fantastic move there by Justin Michael in the 87 car there to completely fake out the 03 of Corey Henry there.
Yeah, and one thing I want to keep an eye on here, too, is the 20 and the 03. Those 2 are friends and they're teammates. So I'm going to be looking to see if those 2, maybe if somehow the 20 of Derek Walker will let the 3 of Corey Henry in, if they're going to try to start working together, because they are teammates. Their other teammate is Nathan Davis, who's back in 16th right now. So he's in a different group. But those front 2 right there, or close to front 2, the 03 and the 20, I would expect to see them work together here.
Yeah, and if I'm, Corey Henry, again, not knowing the relationship with a 20, I might just stay in the outside row. I got 2 teammates behind me. You know they want to work together. You know they want to get the lead. The best way for them to do that is to push me out front so I dive to the inside, and they can work the front of the outside row. So if you're Corey Henry, look for them to push him to the front, and he can take the inside line here and take the lead back.
And this is exactly what he does. As once again, Corey Henry, the 03, will take the lead here. He has now led 25 laps still, as obviously Justin Michael has led 2 laps. But again, it doesn't matter what lap you lead. If it's not the last one, you're not going to be the race winner. These guys are really taking it easy here, as we're going to be coming up on lap 30 here pretty shortly, lap 28 right now. And everyone taking it very easy out there and being very calm.
Yeah, 87 going to try the same move. He's going to get in front of those teammates, and again, they want to be up front there, so they'll probably work to push him up front. And the 20 looks like he's content for the most part hanging back, and look at the 87 to dive her back down inside here.
Yeah, and he's with his teammate now. So you have your leader, the 87 of Justin Michael. Then you have 2 teammates on the inside, 2 teammates on the outside. So I don't foresee too much here as far as battling going. I think those 2 or 4 cars are going to battle. The question is if the 21 and the 87 can, or not the 87, sorry, not sure who the 76. If they can push that 21 up front, or the 1 who's out front, will he dive in front and leave his teammate? I would reckon he wouldn't, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it depends. Teammates a lot of times we talk about on super speedway racing, knowing who you're racing next to. teammates practice together a lot. They run together a lot. I think a lot of times they want to hang together, and maybe they'll make sure that they can pull each other there. Now, what I'm looking for is for these two on the outside row to fall back here, and the 03 and the 20 to pop out as soon as the 20 is clear here, and try to get around the 87 by pulling in front of those teammates. Looks like they might have a shot, and maybe are opting not to do that. So I thought they might take the opportunity there to try to get around the 87 with the outside row as soon as they cleared the 1.
Yeah, and I really thought they would too, especially with the inside row not being as formed up as it was. They had a good opportunity there, but they opted not to do it and stay on the inside. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to play out here. I think they would have had a good shot. But right now, they could be content as there goes the 20. He's going to look out, but I think he's going to, he's going to dive back in. That is Derek Walker in the 20. He did contemplate jumping out there.
Yeah, and he might have been trying to give his signal to his buddy there in the 3. Corey Henry there, and show him that he was clear and say, hey, do you want to do it? Well, and it looks like Corey Henry was thinking about it too. So, not sure how invested the 20 and the 03 are in each other there. We see the two guys on the outside, the 21 and the 1. They seem to be sticking together here pretty solid, but the 03 and the 20 are buddies, but I'm just not sure how invested they are in working with each other right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do, if they work with each other at all here. As, again, we know for a fact the 1 of Justin Levine, hopefully we get that one right, and the 21 of Daniel Holloway. Those two, they are definitely stuck to each other like glue right now as they're bumper to bumper. And they really want somebody to start piling in behind them so that they can push both of those cars to the front versus just one of them. However, you've mentioned it before in past Daytona races here, or on iRacing, that if you can get both of your cars to the outside rows here and run side by side, that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because then you dominate both the inside and the outside lane.
It depends on how aggressive you want to be and how that is in a race. I hope none of our guys are listening, but that is certainly a strategy that we've employed several times is, get up there and put a car in front of each lane, especially at Daytona where you really can only legitimately run, 2 lanes around that track. And then, you control the runs in both lanes. And, you keep both cars up front, and you don't have to worry about somebody else teaming up to beat you there at the end. That is just you against your buddy for the win there at the end.
It is as a caution comes out. Now take a look here. It is all the way at the back here. Dwayne Cooper in the 00 involved. I'm not sure if he's obviously at fault, but he definitely is involved. So let's go back and take a look.
Yeah, I'm seeing the 101 and the 00 and the 150, I think it is, or is that the 350? All of them involved there. And it looked to me like maybe the 101 just kind of got up into the rear quarter of the 00.
And this was a little further back here. We're talking about 25th and 26th place. And yeah, just, and the 00 actually went for a violent ride too. I'm not sure if they have fast repairs or not, but if they don't, I have a feeling the 00's night is probably going to be done, as he is sitting on pit road right now, and I believe there he is. He's on pit road, so he's getting damage repaired. He may have a fast repair.
Not sure. I think maybe the 101 might have caught a little bit of a bump down there in the apron right before the start-finish line, because he just shot right up the track into that 00.
Yeah,
it looked like something moved his car. It didn't look like he lost control. It looked like something, and usually when something shoots you up the track like that, it's either a banking change, catching too much apron, which there isn't really much of one right there, or catching some bumps there. And I know there's a few bumps right there by that on the apron there.
Yeah, and looking at the chat here, we have Mike Neal asking if it's the same rule here, you can't go below the double yellow line to advance. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, iRacing just addressed that here just a couple of days ago, and they were saying that, on a racing standpoint, I don't think there actually is a penalty for that. However, leagues may enforce it, but I don't think there's actually a a penalty from iRacing that you'll get for doing that?
So yeah, I've actually run into this before, and I believe it's against the sporting code or the written rule. There's nothing that states that you can specifically in Daytona, but it does say you can't advance below the double yellow. However, I do know that at Daytona, much like in the real series, that is not enforced by the iRacing itself. There's not an automatic penalty enforced. No black flags thrown if you advance below the double yellow. I think maybe it's more just bad form, because if you drop down below that double yellow and try to come up, you have to get back up on the track before you get to the corner, because that banking change will send you flying into all the guys above you. There's not enough banking to hold you at speed down there in the apron. And if you got guys too wide above you and you're trying to advance and they're bumper to bumper, there's nowhere for you to come up. And chances are you're going to cause a wreck. So individual leagues can have rules, and for the most part, passing below there is frowned upon by just about everybody in iRacing. But no, there's not an automatic penalty from iRacing for that. And shout out to Mike Neal. Always great to have Mike in here watching our races with us.
And always asking the good questions in chat, too, so to keep us on our toes. We are here under caution, lights are on, so we are going to step away real fast for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Alright, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, still under caution here. We'll pull up our caution graph real fast. This is the second caution for 7 laps, 44 laps to go, going to be 43 at the line. And I'm not sure, I believe we will go racing again before that halfway point. That's a really easy way to earn $10 here if you're leading this race under a caution. But I'm wondering, we have seen single file here for the most part of this race, a little bit of double file, but Jason Papp stayed out here on 22 lap tires, which at Daytona isn't that huge of a deal. I'm wondering if he's staying out there trying to lead this thing when it comes to the halfway point to earn that $10.
Hey, if you're on a service that costs $12 a month, $10 is nothing to laugh at. I'm sure there are plenty of guys on here who would love to have that $10, and maybe they're more concerned with that $10 than winning the race. So staying out here on these 22 lap tires for a shot at winning that $10 might be worth it.
It very well could be. As looking here, he's currently in first. He started 25th. So he's been towards the back of this field for most of the race. He may have moved up a little bit. We don't know right offhand how many spots he did lose or gain. But starting 25th and had a chance to win that $10, definitely I think is a good call. Not to mention, if they do give a bonus point for leading a lap, he has now led 2, so he'll get that bonus point as well.
Well, let's not forget, we haven't had a real steady second line go anywhere other than just a couple cars here and there. So advancing and gaining track position has been nearly impossible here. If you're in the back, you're still in the back. There hasn't been a good way to get back up front without that second line going, so might be a good call just for the track position as well. Hoping maybe to get a quick caution here before he runs out of fuel and hold that track position, and that could be the easiest way to get up front as the pace car pulls off.
It is pace car diving off. Green flag back in the air once again. We are racing here at Daytona. We got some beating and banging going a little ways back here. These cars are trying to get going. It looked like somebody didn't get going as well as they wanted to, but regardless, they get it going and no spins or anything like that. So overall, a fairly good start here. And right now, it is going to be the 83 of Jason Papp leading this race. But they're staying single or double file here a little bit longer than they did last time.
Yeah, Jason Papp not looking like he was real steady there. It looked like maybe there was a little bit of car contact with that 03 on the outside, and I think the 03's got a little bit of a bubble there on his left front fender there. So I think the 83 got a little shaky, and maybe the 03 caught a little bit of damage, so that's not going to bode well for him.
It is not going to at all. And we do want to point out here, too, I know since you got in here last minute, a lot of these guys you'll see running the carkeepers.com logo. If they run that for the season here, for the entire season, as their primary or secondary sponsor, they are in the running for $100 at the end of the season. So that is why you'll see a lot of these guys running that too. So, you know, they're running for more than just a championship.
Oh, there goes the 83 around. Like 3, a lot of good cars up front getting taken out.
Oh,
21, the 03, the 81, 25. I can't even count them all. There is a lot of cars up front that just we just had the big one.
That was indeed. Let's go back and take a look here. What happened and were the old tires to blame? Don't think so. But we'll see. Again, tires really not that big an issue here. Corey Henry in the 03 involved in this one. He was not the initial start, I don't think. But some serious chaos up front.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little bit better camera angle here. It looked to me like maybe a little bit of side drafting by the 03 there, which is run a little bit closer than maybe the 83 was comfortable with. And looked like the 83 moved a little bit, and they're just... maybe wasn't enough room for him. So, yeah, I don't have a camera angle that's telling me anything different right now.
And we're going up here to our dynamic 2 camera, I believe it is, to see here as we're watching. There it is, the 83 of Jason Papp. What might have happened here? There was some really close battling even there. I believe maybe the 83 may have slid up a little bit, but again, it was very close, very tight racing. Maybe the 83 didn't realize Corey Henry was right there as close as he was. But Jason Papp getting the worst end of that here is we'll go back here one more time to the 83, and let's actually go. Let's go on board with him here, thanks to TND Rustic Decor. And take a look here at the replays. Again, right now, nothing major going on, but you're about to see the chaos that ensued here in the front of this race.
Yeah, I looking at that several times there, I think the 03 really wasn't giving them a lot of room, which is something we do at Daytona, but maybe this comes back to knowing who you're running next to there. You got the 83 who... maybe was struggling to keep it down there on that yellow line a little bit, getting into that corner, and there just wasn't enough room for him, and he came up and got in the 03, and we caught a lot of good cars there.
Yeah, we definitely caught a lot of great cars involved in that caution here. So far, it looks like the only ones off the lead lap are Scott Leitner in the 66, Dwayne Cooper in the 00, and now Jason Papp in the 83. Those 3 drivers on pit road, multiple laps down at the moment. But that's going to give us a new leader here. That is the 1 of Jason Levine. I think it's Levine. I'm not sure. Well, we'll get, again, clarification for next week's race. But I don't see his teammate anywhere around him right now, the 21, who is all the way back in 19th.
And I guess my question for you, Charles, is Do you know if we've got fast repairs here?
I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll see if we can get a clarification here.
I think we do. I'm looking at the 03 car who was quite torn up, and it looks like he's got a new car.
Well, indeed, we must have at least one fast repair here, so we'll zoom into him real quick. The 03 of Corey Henry. Yeah, and that car is definitely brand new, so we do have the backup car allowed here for this series. And so it's a good thing because that could have been a lot of cars out of this race.
Yeah, and I just found that we have 2 fast repairs allowed for this race. So I think we saw a lot of cars just use their first one there.
Yeah, and again, I don't even know if you'd classify that as the big one. It was decent size, but we've seen a lot bigger. I'm not sure if I want to classify that as the big one here tonight. So we'll see. I think once they are allowed to go 3 wide, if we're going to see a little bit bigger wreck, that's when it's going to happen.
Well, if you're saying the big one is the biggest one of the night, then I might go with that. But I would call that a big one. How's that?
We'll go with that. It was a big one. Whether it is the only big one and the biggest one, that is yet to be determined. While we have a moment here, of course, we do want to remind everyone, of course, first off, thanks for joining us here tonight on Virtual Racing and Network. Second of all, if you're out there and you like the racing here, you like the drivers, you want to give a shout out the best way you can, that is giving that thumbs up and, of course, subscribing to the channel. We have lots of great racing, lots of new stuff coming, this one including. We also are going to be doing the NORA 360 Nationals coming up here shortly, as well as the Sim Dirt Modified Touring Series coming up as well. So we got a lot of new stuff coming here to VRN, so obviously make sure you get subscribed for that and give the race a thumbs up if you like it. But we are under caution here one more time, as this is our 3rd caution of the night for only 10 laps, so still not a whole lot of laps under caution. As we now have 38 laps to go, and you know, we didn't even get a chance to, during all that chaos, figure out who the winner of that $10 was. Is that, you know, it happened right about the time we were going to be declaring that winner.
That is a good point there. I thought the 83 might have been ahead at that point, but you're absolutely right. It was right about that time, and I can't tell you. So while you're calling the start here, I'll try to go back and see if I can't get clarification.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I would imagine it's got to be the 03 or the 83, one of them two, but we'll let you go back and look at that to see if we can figure that out. That would have been on the, obviously, completion of lap 40. So we'll check that as the lights are off, and we are on the backstretch getting this thing ready to go one more time. But who is going to be the winner here tonight? We've already seen Corey Henry coming over from the dirt side, winning $10 for winning the pole award, thanks to, of course, National Pool Wholesalers here for coming on board for that. And as soon as Jeff finds that, we'll know who else is going to be winning $10 here tonight.
Yeah, I am showing that wreck happening in the middle of lap 40, if I've got this right. So I would say Justin Levine, our leader here right now, is probably the one that ended up leading that caution lap to collect the $10.
Well, there you have it. It looks like Justin Levine is going to be the collector of that $10. Again, if we get a caution again, maybe we can get Ted or Mitch up here to clarify that as to who the leader was for sure. But that looks like to be who he is. A caution come out, and he was out front. There ain't no disputing that. He's $10 richer.
Yeah, there may be some dispute in that, but if he's the one that did lead it, like I think he was, you betcha, he's $10 richer. And we get the newcomer to the front row here, the 12 of Abram Brower here now, with not a lot of help there on the outside.
Ooh, like, we got cars going around. That is the 50 going around, and the caution is out very quickly here as we're going to try to get back to him. That is the 50 of Jeffrey Meyer going around, and Corey Henry involved again. And unfortunately, Corey Henry's car is turning sideways, trying to go straight. I think his night just might be done. Let's go back and take a look.
Yeah, I think that was just one of those accordion effect checkups that we talked about here, where you're so close to the guy in front of you, you don't have time to react. It looked like they were checking up in front of him, each checkup getting progressively worse as it kind of accordion through the field. And when the 50 got there, the 03 just got right into the rear end of them, and neither one of them had a chance to react. And I can pretty much guarantee you the 03 left all four wheels again there, and will be burning his second fast repair here tonight. So Mike is spot on with cars coming off all four tonight.
Yeah, and you're right. They forgot they had, you said, 2 fast repairs. Let's go back here to the 03 and get a view of him here, as we're going to go on board with him real fast on that roll bar. Again, thanks to T&D Rustic Decors. We're going to actually get to the wrong driver. There it is, Corey Henry. We're going to watch this. You're about to see a violent ride, even for iRacing. This is him right here as he gets hit here in a minute. There it is right there, flipping and rolling into the fence. That is a violent ride, even on a sim like this. Lose my voice a little. Is that steering wheel was probably spinning around quite a bit in his hands.
Yeah, and that's just, you know, this is one of the reasons why you try to position yourself around guys, and you know how they're going to drive, you know they're going to react, and you can anticipate that a little bit. You don't always win. You can't always do that. And, you know, Corey Henry led almost this entire race, ran a flawless race up front, and found himself in the back after, you know, after a little bit of a wreck there, and then a little bit of unfamiliar territory, and here he is with the wrecked car again. So that's why we said you can't look at these races just one by itself, but guys who can manage that risk a little bit the best around these super speedways usually over time do the best.
Yeah, they definitely do. And caution out, of course, we're under caution here. Pit stops have completed, so we'll take a look here at our top 5 drivers, of course, after 46 laps completed, so over halfway. Right now it is Justin Levine in first, Abram Bauer in second, Rick Beaver in third, Justin Michael fourth, and Derek Walker rounding out your 5th spot right now, again after 46 laps completed. So we've had 4 different leaders here. Of course, Corey Henry, Justin Levine leading, as well as Justin Michael, so 2 Justins leading here, and of course the 83 of Jason Papp has led a few laps as well, but he is back 2 laps down, still on pit road. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to lead this thing when they cross the line for that last lap, and will we see a big one there on the last lap? We have been known to see those where a big wreck happens right there coming to the start-finish line for the last lap.
Well, you know, you always hate to try to predict these things because it's nearly impossible, especially with a league we're not familiar with. But I would guess that the reason you put 2 fast repairs on a league like this, where you got 30 cars out there on a super speedway, is so guys aren't afraid to race. So knowing you got those cars and knowing you got guys with kind of a racing mentality, you know, maybe we'll see some 3-wide action here towards the end and some guys just flat out going for it.
That is a very well possibility. And I want to pull a driver up here. You know, one that I'm familiar with here. Let's see if we can't, hopefully he'll respond. The 20 of Derek Walker. See if we can't pull him up here as he's running 5th. One of our dirt drivers over here. So let's pull him up here real fast and go on board with him with T&D Rustic Decor. Derek Walker, you got a copy. Hopefully we will be able to get him here to get a copy with him. I know he is over in his team channel as well.
I got you now, Rudy. Sorry about that.
Well, first off, I'm not Rudy, but okay. But Derek...
Sorry, Charles. I'm having some technical difficulties down here.
Uh-oh. Well, we don't want to keep you too long then, real class. How is it out there racing right now?
It's a little hectic right now. Just getting this thing going again. We had some good racing going, but now that it's we got a caution, it's breeding more caution. So unfortunately, that's a part of racing. But hopefully, we'll get back to getting under green and having a lot of green flag laps.
Well, hopefully do that. Hopefully whatever technical problems you got going on there gets sorted out here. And we'll see a good chance of winning this thing. You're sitting in 5th place right now. Any quick shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, just a big shout out to my sponsor, Dora Lowrance at Raven Graphics, and all my viewers at the Jalopy Twitch channel. They're here to cheer me on, so shout out to them, and yeah, we're going to see what we can do.
All right, well, we'll get you back down there real fast to the pits, and of course that was the 20 of Derek Walker here, coming over from dirt. Obviously has ran some asphalt as well, but that was a quick little word with him, thanks to TND Rustic. Of course, we were on the board. And it looks like we're going to take at least one more lap around this track. Again, 2.5 miles. This is a long track.
Yeah, and pace laps. If you don't have the fast repairs and you're sitting in the pits, nearly 2-minute pace laps trying to get repairs done. You absolutely love it. If you're trying to pay attention and drive at 65 miles an hour out there while pacing. You hate it because it gives you plenty of opportunity to zone out after going 200 miles an hour. These 2-minute laps are excruciating out there. And it's actually not uncommon for somebody to just run into somebody pacing here at Daytona or run off the track or spin it. It happens. It's real easy to lose focus.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, going from 180, 190, 44-second laps to a minute 50. You almost want to fall asleep. It's boring going around the track that slow when you're not used to it. And, I've been on the track and I've caught myself almost going to sleep when you're under caution, especially when you get a few cautions in a row and it's consistent. It really does drag on. But we're going racing again. Green flag back in the air once again. And a good start here. We didn't see any chain reactions this time. So far we are staying green. And it looks like it's going to be the one of Justin Levine that is out front.
Yeah, actually, there was a little bit of a checkup on the outside row by the 12. I'm not sure if he missed a shift or was just late getting on that loud pedal there when we went green. But an excellent job by the entire outside row to avoid that accordion effect that just got us last time. So great job by these guys. They're not going to be fooled twice.
Yeah, they definitely are. And we got cars into the outside wall back here. I'm not sure who it is. Somebody's in the grass.
Yeah, just it seems like every time I say that, something happens. So maybe there was an accordion effect a little bit further back.
And the 25 was involved in that as well, but a caution does not come out this time, as that was Mitch Beaver involved. He is being scored in 21st and dropping like a rock right now. It looks like Nathan Hall was involved. But again, we're going to go back to the racing service as that did not bring out a caution.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem with being at the back of the pack. If the wreck doesn't come back down in front of the leaders, oftentimes it will not score a wreck. And it looked to me like there was a brown car that was off pace for some reason up high on the track, and that just caused some guys to make some evasive maneuvers.
It did indeed, and there is the caution coming out. I don't see anyone off pace. That may have just been a late thrown caution for that wreck that just happened. Is you have a better thing there. You can see if that was thrown possibly by iRacing or if that was thrown by an admin.
It looked like there was two wrecks. There was a wreck further up, and that was thrown by the admin. So that's an admin cause or thrown caution. Ted Manning threw that, but looked like there was a wreck further up from this group in the back, and then this group in the back wrecked trying to avoid it. So there were damaged cars down there in the apron bouncing back up on the track that looked like they caused the guys in the back to have to take some evasive action there.
Well, it definitely did, as we'll see back here. It looks like for the most part, I think everybody has got it straightened out, though, as it is our fifth caution here for 16 laps. We now have 29 laps to go. We have completed 51. So for the most part, not too many laps under caution. 16 is probably more than anybody wants, really, as far as they go. But that's 16 very slow laps around here. I'm wondering how many people we're going to have come down pit road when it does open. About 10 to 14 laps, 10 to 16 on our top 10 drivers, 10, 12 drivers. Behind them, they've got 5 to 6. So we have different tire strategies out there right now.
Yeah, we do. And while we were talking about that, I was able to figure out what happened there. And it looked like the 13 of Ted Manning and the 21 of Daniel Holloway. It looked like Ted Manning might have, I don't know if he drifted up the track or thought it was clear, but got into Daniel Manning, sent the 21 car, or Daniel Holloway, into the wall, and then Ted Manning went down on the apron, and of course it shot back up on the track, and then that's what caused everybody to try to do some swerving and brake checking in the back.
Oh, that is definitely not good. We have about 6-7 cars on pit road right now. As looks like Jason Allison on pit road as well in the 28. Again, I'm not sure what happened to him. He may have been involved in that somehow. But he is back in 20th. He is on the lead lap. And just to do a little note here to clean house, we have Corey Henry, Nathan Hall, Dwayne Cooper, Mitch Beaver, Jason Papp, and Scott Leitner. Those guys are not completely out of this race. Some of them are coming back on the track. Some of them are on pit road laps down. Eric Green and Daniel Jackson, who did not start. Eric Green did. Daniel Jackson did not start. Those two are the only drivers completely out of this race thus far.
Yeah, for the most part, I think we've still got 24 cars in the lead lap right now. And, the 03 Corey Henry, who led most of this race right now, I'm showing him as the first car lapped down. So not sure if he got clipped in that at all or if he's eligible for the lucky dog here. He may be the 25th car coming back to the lead lap.
I'm sure he'd love to get that lap back and come back on this track and try to lead some more laps. It's getting 29 laps left, actually about that going on here. 27 laps to go. Somebody could pass him, but he's led still the most laps even after all of that happened. So he'd love to get back to the front. And if he can get back and they can possibly get him too wide, have a caution that he's not involved in, and when they're bunched up still a little bit and he's not strung out really far, he can get that lap back, and his pit stall, of course, is the first pit stall. So that could help him with an advantage, as he can just punch it, get off pit road, and really not have to worry about speeding. So it's going to take maybe 2 cautions here for him to get back up to the front.
Well, he didn't get the lucky dog on this one, so he came in. He's in pit road there. So not sure if anybody that was already a lap down was able to avoid that accident. In order to get the lucky dog, you can't be registered as one of the guys that had contact or an off track in an incident. Otherwise, iRacing won't issue the lucky dog to you. So it's quite possible that everybody that was a lap down had to do some sort of evasive action there. But I'm still showing 24 on the lead lap. So.
And go ahead.
No. Yeah, just gonna say, either we missed the lucky dog or nobody got one. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, we very well could have missed it here. Looks like we got one more lap here just to update. Yes, there are 27 of the 31 that started still currently on the track. For a race that is 54 out of 80 laps in, I am just super impressed with these drivers. To have that many drivers, period, 31 drivers starting, and almost 55 laps in, to have probably about 95% of them still left in the race, even though some of them are a few laps down. That's impressive by any standards.
It is, and I'm not taking anything at all away from these drivers. I think 2 fast repairs, so bringing 3 cars to the track certainly helps us out with that a little bit. Allows these guys to stay out on the track, allows them to get new cars when things happen. Sometimes it allows us to do some things that maybe we wouldn't normally do. But by the same token, it does also allow for some fantastic racing, because we're not afraid to try some things that are maybe a little bit more aggressive too. So fast repairs can be a double-edged sword, and we do have 2 of them here.
Yeah, they definitely can be good for the broadcast, of course, as we keep the car count up. But some fantastic racing, and it will allow you to do something that you normally might not do. One thing I do want to note here, too, is we're on lap 55, and for anyone that was here earlier in the broadcast knows what that means. That means we can now go 3 wide.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that. I'm a fan of fast repairs on super speedway racing, by the way. I don't want to sound like I'm I'm anti because just you can do everything right in the super speedway race and still end up getting in a wreck. So, and I think we've seen that already this race. So the fast repairs allow us to overcome that and keep everything fun for those who waited all week for their race, and for the people that are in here watching the broadcast, watching their sons, husbands, cousins, brothers race. It just keeps everybody in it.
It does indeed, and speaking of in it, they're into the fast pedal here, the loud pedal, whatever you want to call it, as it looks like we're a little further back here. It looks like the 76 of Scott Warren scraped the wall in the restart, but he keeps it going as we are racing once again here at Daytona International Speedway, and they are staying 2 wide, and we may see some 3 wide here pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested here. That last restart, we saw a lot of guys on the outside line bailing pretty quick to the inside row. So I don't know if it's a product of not really wanting to race with the guys on the outside, or if we're still saying not yet. We're going to wait, 10 or so more laps before we get too aggressive here. But I'll be curious to see what happens to that outside rows. It looks like we've got 4 cars trying to make something happen, and then maybe even a middle row starting to form up here that's going to slide up in front of that 12 car and make it 2 wide.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is from the start of this race, we pointed it out, the 1 and the 21 working together. Well, the 21's not here. He's back in the back right now, so we'll take a look. He is back in 24th. Corey Henry back currently being scored in 25th, while his teammate, or one of them anyway, is in 2nd place right now in the number 20, now 3rd place of Derek Walker. So those teammates that were up front with each other have now been separated, but one of his teammates that is coming, that is the 36 of Nathan Davis, he could possibly get up there to Derek Walker and try to work with him as well, but anything is possible here at Daytona, as you just don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, we said you want to be predictable. We think teammates are predictable. I mean, we were able to predict what was going to happen when we had the teammates running up front with each of those lines. So, if you're the 1 car there of Justin Levine, you really want your teammate bad. You're a lot better up there with somebody that you know how to drive with. Now you're just kind of running with whoever's up there with you, and it's a whole different ball game. And we'll probably see some different racing, and I'm sure the 1 is a lot less confident than he was when his teammate was behind him.
Yeah, definitely is. And that outside lane right now is not getting the help it needs, as they are snaking all over the place right now. As it looks like they're going to try to single file it here again, which is, I find very surprising. They have the option to go 3 wide, and they're still opting to go single file. And that right there shows that they're being very conservative. And it makes you wonder here if they've seen enough cautions already. They don't want to see any right away, and that's why they're going single file to try to limit those cautions down to get some green flag racing.
Well, I'll tell you, running that outside line, when you got something like this going on, it just takes a little bit of intestinal fortitude there, because you really need 3 to 4 at a minimum cars that are racing tight. Nobody can really hang back if you're going to make that work. And we got 3 wide right now, by the way, with the 350 on the outside of the 76. And these guys are doing a great job of holding that 3 wide to get back in line to 2. But back to my point there, every time you don't have those cars packed that tight on the outside, and it's a harder line to drive, you start to fall backward. And as you start to fall backward, everybody's worried about cars popping up in front of them if you get that run going back up. So nobody wants to get freight trained. They all start diving for the inside line. It breaks up that line even more. So to hang up there long enough to get that line going and still be at the front of it when it does, you really got to persevere, stick it out, and even get a little bit lucky.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Luck has a lot to do with this. When you're running these plate tracks like this, you can be good all day long, but luck does play a little bit of a factor in here. I don't know if I'd call it a 50-50 split, but it's definitely in there. You've got to be lucky if you want to be up the front. Obviously, right now, your front 3 are Justin Levine, Gary Chapman, and Derek Walker. Those are your front 3, and single file once again. But you get a little further back here, about 14th, 10th through 14th, it looks like they're really wanting us to go double wild. They just don't have the cars to do it.
And, the 12 started on the outside row up front there. And, just to belabor this point maybe a little bit, he's hung tight on the outside, and he's back. 10 cars have passed him on the inside. And by the time they get this outside line going, if it gets back up there, he's going to have 2 or 3 more cars jump up in front of him. He's already got 2 in front of him, and he'll probably be the 5th or 6th car on the outside row. And, that's part of what's tough about this. But as soon as this line gets going again, it looks like they are. Look for those guys up there 2nd, 3rd, 4th place to start flying up there and trying to get in front of that and maybe making things a little bit dicey as they try to get to the front.
Yeah, and, there's 2, we talk about it all the time, there's 2 reasons you can have cars do it. Is the 39 going around.
And here's another big one, Charles.
Indeed, another big one here as we're going to try to catch up to the 39 as he is flying all over the place here. We can find what position he's being scored in. There it is, all the way back in 22nd now. Let's go back and take a look.
Yeah, we just had a lot of movement up front there, and I'm not sure that the 4 really came down on that 39, but it almost looked like there was some net code there. But he came down pretty hard too, so he very well could have spun him. Hard to tell from my camera angle. May have been some net code or a flat out spin, but either way, that 4 car really came down hard on that 39.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at here is from what we were seeing anyways. We'll try to see if we can't get it. It definitely looks like the 4 came down on the 39. Again, we try not to, blame anyone in particular. It could have just been a little racing deal, but in our opinion anyway, it looks like the 4 may have come down just a little bit. I think the 39 was holding his line pretty good. For the most part, he's right on the yellow line.
Yeah, there was some net code there, Charles. At least I got behind that 4 with the rear chase camera. And he did come down, and you got to worry about that hit detection box, which is something else we can talk about when we got another a minute or 2 to kill. But, so still, anytime you come down that hard, you really do got to worry about net code. But it looks like net code may have played a part in this.
Yeah, it definitely did. And, to check in, we got Braden Eiler out there, very good dirt driver checking in. Nate Davis is currently on the lead lap, sitting in 16th position as he's on pit road right now. And he is going to complete his pit stop here. We will get things back to the front here as we're under caution once again. Taking a look, that is our 6th caution for 21 laps. We are getting close here, less than 20 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, do you know if we've got a full fuel tank here? We're restricted with fuel by any chance? I'm curious with these guys staying out. We've got about 16 to go. Granted, some of those are going to be under caution, 15 to go. But we got guys out there, our leaders out there on 28 laps right now.
I am not 100% sure on the fuel here. That's one of the things we will definitely have to get here for future races. I didn't hear otherwise, so they may have a full tank of fuel. And we'll just have to make sure we get that information for the next race for sure.
Yeah, I think 44 laps may be pushing it on fuel. With the caveat here that we've had probably 10 or 15 laps under caution, which is more than likely enough to put him over. But if the one's going to stay out on fuel, I'm not worried about tires, but fuel is something to watch here. Given that would make this about a 44 lap run to the end for him.
Yeah, it definitely would. And again, we're under caution here, so we want to remind everyone, of course, definitely hit that thumbs up if you like the racing here. We'll see if we can maybe get up to 20 likes on the race. Definitely thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button and the little bell. You'll be notified of all upcoming races here. But real fast, we do want to give another shout out here to all of the VRN sponsors and the race sponsors, starting with, of course, Walls Beard Co. Go on wallsbeardco.com. Sim Speed Shop, you can check them out at simspeedshop.com. Northwest Racing Series, the official one-to-go sponsor. Ohio IndyCar League. iBog, the official graphic and overlay sponsor here for VRN. And, of course, Randy's Wraps, Again, we didn't get a pre-race interview in here because we shortened the time here a little bit. And, of course, on the racing side of things, the ones footing the bill for everything here, that is Car Keepers, where they keep you moving without the hassle. Check them out at carkeepers.com. And, all the great sponsors here, of course, just a short little plug-in here. If you're looking to sponsor, definitely hit up the league. And if you're looking to sponsor VRN, we're always looking for great partners to work with. You can hit us up on our Facebook page or on their Facebook page, message either one of us, and look at getting involved here with iRacing on the broadcast side of things. But that being said, I can't remember exactly what we were going to talk about here, but you were talking about the netcode. We're going to talk about that for a minute here. So for the ones not familiar with what netcode is, give them a little bit of a brief rundown on it, Jeff.
Yeah, to be, not to get too technical, because the more technical I get, the more you understand, or the more you realize I really don't necessarily understand all this either. But obviously, when they program this stuff into the cars and stuff, they use polygons, different shapes, straight lines, things like that. So what we show here represents curved lines. So we've got some boxes basically out there racing as far as the programming is. And when you get visually, what you see may not represent the area that car is occupying. So when you get so close, you may get in what we would call the hitbox, and it comes into play here when we're trying to side draft, run door handle to door handle here late stages of the races and slow a car down. You get too close, it may register it as a hit even if you're not seeing it. And then to further compound that, where we get into net code, everything here runs off a central server, but we've got guys at their houses on their internet, and we know that internet is not instantaneous. It takes a few milliseconds for information to get back and forth, and some of it gets lost along the way, and there's algorithms that try to rebuild it, but all that takes time. And so the further delayed you get from what's happening on the server, the less sometimes it represents what's going on, and we see something that we tend to call netcode, whereas the server's coming back and telling us these two cars are 3 feet away from each other, and that's what we're seeing. But in reality, somewhere along the line, those cars are really a lot closer than that, or the central server registered them as hitting each other, and so because of all the latency, lost packets, things like that, what actually happens on there doesn't represent what we see on the screen, and it's something we've got to be real careful with when we're running this close together in super speedway racing.
Yeah, and speaking of racing, that is exactly what we're doing here. Once again, a green flag back out, and I'm not sure exactly what kind of start that was, as we're already single file, and they're just now going into turn 1, and we already have a huge gap between everybody, so not the best start we've seen, but these guys have a huge gap here for probably the first 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, and it's really not a bad start if you're those first 4 or 5 cars. Right now, if you're the 87, going to try to make this outside line work here without any help. The only way you can do that is do the side draft we're talking about, and again, that can be a dangerous game, and even then, with side drafting, you're more likely just luckily to hang on than actually pass 3 cars. But to get 4 cars out in a breakaway, it's not a bad thing because it requires everybody else behind you to get organized. But with the 87 out there trying to make that he's slowing things down by making that outside line, or trying to make that work, and we might see some cars start catching up, like we see the 3 car already doing. He's caught in that draft. We'll see the 12 cars suck up, and I don't think they broke out far enough to keep all these guys from sucking up. So I think we'll have some good solid two-line racing here in a couple laps.
Yeah, and that 3, that is Rick Beaver. As we were just thinking, the partners and sponsors here, of course, that is the owner of CarKeepers.com. Obviously running a Car Keepers car here, doing a fantastic job here in currently 5th place. So what a run to go through your top 5. It is Justin Levine, Garage champion, Derek Walker, Justin Michael, and Rick Beaver. Those are your top 5, and they do have a little bit of a lead, but those next 3 cars, Adam Bauer, Jarrett Warren, and Donovan Ranta, I think they're going to catch them here in just a little bit.
Yeah, they're gonna catch them. You get about maybe a second back, and you're still pulling a little bit off that draft, so you're still faster than the cars ahead of you because you're not breaking all that air. You've still got a little bit broken air from ahead of you. So these guys are less than a second back. They're single file. They shouldn't have a problem catching up.
I don't think they will at all, and it's not going to hurt them at all if you got these two cars trying to make it too wide here. That will cut that draft a little bit. Instead of being one continuous line, it will break it into two, and that will allow them to catch even faster. The question is, when they catch them, as they're about 2 car lengths off, which line are they going to take? If they get a run, they may take to the outside and try to get up to the front and lead this thing.
Well, they'll definitely get a run, and I think that's what the 87 and the 3 are doing. They're positioning themselves to catch that run because they're getting the benefit of that draft. They're sucking up. They got a couple miles an hour on the field, and when you get a run on that, you got 2 choices. You can slow down when you catch the field, which you hate to do at a race like this, or you can try to make a new line. And you see the 12 trying to do that now, and the 3 is trying to slide up there in front of them and claim that spot without being too aggressive. And it looks like the 12 may have had to back out of that a little bit to make it work. So good move by the 3 to kind of stall that run out if he couldn't get in front of it.
Yeah, that is definitely a good. If you can't lead the pack, it stopped them from doing it. As we were talking about it a little earlier, we didn't get to finish it. That's 2 reasons you'll see somebody jump out in front of another car, which really can get scary. One, and that is to, of course, get up there and try to get in that lane with them and try to move forward. 2, as we'll see later on, I'm sure we'll see more of it, and that is to cut that momentum off. You get up there, cut them off, and then come back down and kind of kill their momentum going forward. Is they're going to have to check up just a little bit to not get into the back of you. Hopefully they will check up and not get into the back of you. So there's 2 different reasons somebody will jump up in front of someone like that.
Yeah, now what I'm watching here, and it doesn't look like he's doing, I thought he was for a minute. The 3 car there, he was hanging back a little bit, and if he could have sucked those cars up behind him, bunched them up, they may have gotten a run with a little bit of a gap on that 87. He might have been able to pull that line around 80 outside there, and actually ended up being the one that had to run, and getting around the outside if he could have done it without the 87 cutting him off there. So they didn't do it. It looked like they were starting to try to do it, but that's kind of what I'm looking for in the middle of this first lead pack on back, and then as they bunch up, I'll start looking for that second pack to maybe try to do a little bit of the same thing there.
Yeah, I definitely look to see the second pack start to do something here, as we have 8 laps to go. That is all that remains in this race. We started with, of course, 80 to go, and now here we are with 8 to go. So we have completed a big chunk of this race. Obviously, 6 cautions for 23 laps. Not much of it under caution in the grand scheme of things, even though we did have quite a few cautions. And I have a feeling here within the next probably 3, maybe 4 laps, we're really going to start seeing these guys move maybe 2 or 3 wide.
Yeah, tough to do right now. If you're one of the guys up front, like a 20 car or something, and you jump outside, these guys can hang out to dry, gain a place by letting you shoot to the back. So being the first guy to jump out right now and start that line is real tough because you risk losing a lot of spots. It looks like the 87 is going to try it. We'll see if he gets any takers here. A little bit of side drafter might hold him there long enough to get some. We got the 3 going here. We're going to see the 23 probably suck up underneath them, and we'll see if the 3 commits to staying outside or if he drops back down in front of the 23 if that happens.
Yeah, and that is one key here to plate racing when it comes to the final laps. You want to get out there and try to lead the thing, but you have to be very strategic about how you do it. You can't just jump out there willy-nilly whenever you want. You want to time it perfectly to where you have time to get out, get in front, but then you have to make sure there's not enough time left in the race for them to do that right back to you. So there is so much planning to do, and you're planning this, doing it 200 miles an hour is what these drivers are hitting right now.
Yeah, like we said, you pretty much either need a teammate welded to your back bumper, which it doesn't look like any of these have right now, or you've got to have 3 or 4 cars running real tight together to make that work. Anything less, and you're going to fall backwards. So that's what's hard about an outside line to get going, unless it starts at the back, which it looks like is happening there with the 420 and the 350. and another car behind them, which just drove off there, Jason Allison. So if Jason Allison and the 350 were to commit there, maybe they would have enough to push it up. But again, what we see is a bunch of guys kind of testing the waters, but when they don't get full committal, as soon as that gap starts closing up underneath them, the trailing cars are wanting to bail back down and protect that position. So the 20 is looking to be committed right now. He's got a car to the inside. Now, if he's going to do anything, the 87's got to commit. He can't dive back to the inside. And it looks like the 87's going to commit, and we're going to get that second line finally. We'll see what the 3 does here. 2 cars probably not going to get it done. But the 23 driving underneath the 3 car here real quick, looks like he's going to commit the 3 for him. And now the 3's got to suck up to make that work.
Yeah, he does, and we'll see if he can do it. That is Rick Beaver, of course, in the 3. And they're getting real movie here as Derek Walker takes to the lead. Ooh, he gets a little out of shape there, too, but he is being scored as your race leader side by side with the 1 of Justin Levine here. And it looks like Justin Levine is going to take the lead, but this is the time 4 to go. These guys are really going to start making some moves, and we'll see if anybody tries to make it 3 wide here, but so far we have not seen it at all.
Yeah, now with the draft, if I'm Jason Allison back there, 5th car on the inside line, I might think about jumping outside because you will suck up that 87. And that's a good way to get around that 420, but then again, you are committed to the outside. You've got to make it work. If you do push the 20 to the front, he's probably going to dive inside, and then you only got 2 cars. But if I'm 5 or 6 cars back, I'm taking that. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of beating and banging going on back there. I'm not sure who it was, but they did recover from it. And right now, I think possibly the 87 or the 20 are sitting in the best spot with 3 to go. If they can get a run, they're sitting at the front of that line. They're either going to be pushed to the lead here, or they're going to jump in front of the leader here. We'll see what happens, but we've got a real group of cars here starting to form that second row.
It is, but unless we can get that to tighten up, and 87 dives back inside, kind of leaves the 20 hanging there, these guys just aren't getting tight enough to make those lines work. So,
caution, maybe.
We got a wreck. I think that's going to end this thing.
It is indeed going to end it, and it looks like we'll see where they finish. It looks like Derek Walker will finish 3rd here. It's a real close battle between him and Justin Michael. As they're still doing 190. I don't think they're slowing down.
Yeah, I think they're running it out here. But we're showing scoring ended there, and we were showing Justin Walker in 3rd place. So we'll have to see here, as I believe they're just racing back to the pace car. But I don't know.
They're not. They passed the pace car. They may have a rule we don't know about here, as it looks like they are still going and maybe slowing it down. No, they're going to race it out here, I think. So there may be a rule we just didn't know about. Is this the first time? But right now, they are not slowing down at all.
Yeah, we're confused. I apologize for that. Not sure what's going on here. But you're absolutely right. They continue to race. They pass the caution. So obviously, iRacing is not going to determine the winners here. It's going to be the league admins.
Yeah, and if they are as follows, according to how this was, it should be Justin Levine, Justin, Michael, and Derek Walker finishing in your top 3. Again, assuming that is how they finished properly. We'll find out here shortly. But unofficially, anyway, that is going to be your top 3 here. So before we get to the post-race show, of course, we'll go ahead and run through your race results. Again, assuming this is how they're going to finish. Jeff, you want to run through our first 15 finishers, and then I will bring us home here with the rest of this field.
Yeah, Charles, I'm going to be honest with you. All I have right now available to me is the iRacing scoring, which I do not believe is correct here. So I'm not sure how to give you the official finishers here.
Well, and that is indeed obviously what I have as well. So we may just hold off on that. Maybe we'll get a clarification before we get to that then. So give us just a moment. We're going to sort it out here as some stuff is going a little haywire, or because of the way it finished, they may have a run it out rule. But we'll be right back here. We're going to get our top 3 at least in, and once we find out exactly who they are, and we will be right back. All right, folks, give us just a minute. We're getting the official 3, and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here, and unfortunately, iRacing having a little bit of a glitch there is what we're being told, so we cannot pull up our normal graphics here, but finishing in 3rd place here for tonight's race, that is the 20 of Derek Walker. So, first off, Derek, how was it out there here running on asphalt?
Well, you know me, I'm a big dirt guy, so I just didn't know really what to expect. I had to shake the rust off. It's been about a year since I've been out on super speedway, so it was a lot of fun, a little bit nerve-wracking, but mostly fun.
Well, looking here, you started fifth. It's saying that you finished 12th. Obviously, that's not right. You finished 3rd. So some craziness going on there at the end of the race. There for a while, it looked like you had a really good shot at winning this. Still had a good shot at the end. Before that caution came out, I think we might have seen you in victory lane. Had you come out and won on your first race, I guess, semi-first race anyway, back on iRacing asphalt side of things, what would that have done for you? Done for you as I lose my voice here a little bit.
It would have definitely boosted the confidence, but I still had a boosting confidence tonight. I had no expectations coming into tonight's race, and I just wanted to finish. I told the guys I was just going to take it easy, and as a race car driver, that's really hard to do. So I ended up pushing it a little harder than I'd planned, and it worked out. Got caught up in an early wreck and had to go get a quick fix, and that set us back a bit, but we were able to get back up through there and luckily survived there at the end during all that madness.
There was definitely some craziness going on there. A few cautions here, but overall some great racing. Kind of cool to see you over not slinging some dirt here. Instead, well, you're not really slinging anything here on the asphalt side of things. Definitely cool to see you over here, though. We know you got some sponsors out there you want to thank, and any shout-outs you want to give for anyone watching in chat for you here tonight.
Yeah, first and foremost, a shout out to all the guys here that put this show on. They do such a great job. This is the first time I've ran with them, and I'll definitely be back next week. It was a lot of fun. So shout out to them, you for doing the broadcast. My sponsor Doyle Lawrence paid me a car last second, coming in clutch like he always does. He's amazing. Raven Graphics, they're just incredible. And then I was working with Nathan Davis and Corey Henry during that race, so that helped me a little bit. There at the beginning, we got split up. Corey was leading, and something happened up there with him getting turned or something. I'm not real sure, but yeah, I shout out to my Twitch viewers at the Jalopy Twitch channel. I'm waving at them right now, and again, sorry for calling you Rudy earlier. I had a lot going on.
Well, that's all right. We'll forgive you for this time. Definitely good to see you here racing asphalt, and we're gonna hand it over to our other second chair here, Jeff Snebno, who has caught up with our race leader, or race winner. Sorry.
Yeah, Justin, this is Jeff. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, first of all, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Hard-fought win at that. I guess the first question I have for you is, how do you pronounce your last name? Did I get it wrong?
Levine.
It is Levine. We got it right, Charles. We were right. It is Levine. Glad to hear. We weren't sure, and we hate getting them wrong, yet we managed to continue to do that. So congratulations on the win. We watched you out there early in the race. I think you were up front most of the race. You ran with a teammate, I believe it was the 21 car there of Daniel Holloway. You guys were just masterful on that outside line the first half of the race. Watched you guys up front. You controlled it when somebody got in front of you. You were able to kind of push them right to the front and out of your way. You were really able to control that outside line. So tell me a little bit about the first part of that race there where you had your teammate up there working with you.
Really, we want to just try and see like the momentum run that we would get with three cars. It seemed to really work well when we had the Fort car. The Fort car really made the difference, but only the first car would be able to get clear of the leaders on the bottom. So we were just trial and error at that point. But just avoid the wrecks and be there at the end like we did.
Well, like I said, you guys controlled that outside like a couple of pros. Charles and I were debating if one of you got clear, were you going to pull the owner with you, or were you going to take the inside on that?
Depending on the situation, I guess we would try to stay. Like, if it was go time, we'd understand if the first car dropped down. But if it was midway to early in the race, we were just staying with each other.
Yeah, and so again, speaking of midway through the race, somewhere right before midway, there was an accident there, and it got your teammate got caught up in that a little bit. He had to go to the back where he continued to receive additional damage and some further incidents. But you stayed up front there, and I think right around the midpoint of the race, you were behind the 83 car there, who had stayed out on old tires, and you had the 03 car on the outside line. And those guys got into each other a little bit there, right at about lap 40. And somehow, with two cars sideways in front of you, outside you, inside you the whole way, you managed to get through that unscathed. And then not only that, we think, we're not sure, we don't have official confirmation, but we think you got the $10 for leading lap 40 at that point, too. So tell us a little bit about that incident, if you will.
I saw them bouncing off each other, and it looked like the 83, just because he didn't take tires, was pushing up out of the corners, and then Corey was trying to pinch him hard, and I don't think Corey realized that he was pushing out of the corners, and the second or third time it happened, I just tugged the wheel left, and somehow we made it.
Yeah, that's exactly how we saw it, too. We saw a little bit of, looked like pinching down, side drafting there. It looked like he pushed up, getting in the corner. And the next thing you know, everybody's sideways, and somehow you survive. We think you collected the $10 for pass and go. And then you managed to kind of stay up front. From that point on, I think you were up front right there, one of the first couple cars on just about every restart. You didn't have your teammate up there, but you did control that inside row. You never really let that outside row. I don't know if it was by luck they just couldn't get it going, or but when you weren't in that outside there, that second half of the race, they never really were able to get anything going on the outside, and even mount a serious charge and come get you. So just kind of walk us through the second half of that race from your perspective, and how you brought it home for the win.
With the second half, really, I wanted to control the inside line if I was the leader or second. I just wanted to stay on the bottom because the high side just couldn't form a big enough group to really get cleared, and the bottom was the best way around. Every time it came down, the high side could get right there. Like as you saw at the end, Derek was racing me hard. I thought Derek was going to get me clear me at one point, but him and I think it was Justin pushing him. Just didn't have the momentum. Every single time they would get the momentum out of the corner, and then Garrett pushed me as hard as he can into the corner, and they went back and forth.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I saw it too. It just seemed like they could never get that third or fourth car to suck up long enough to get the momentum to get by. And so pretty amazing for you to be able to get all that sitting in the car there. We got chopper views and blimp views to figure out what's going on. And one last question before I get to shout-outs and sponsors here. As we were watching the end of the race, we saw an accident come out. We saw what we thought was the yellow flag. We thought you had to win. And then it looked like you guys continued to run it out there. So we weren't exactly sure what happened at the end. We heard iRacing glitch. We haven't been able to explain it to the viewers. Can you explain to us what happened there at the end of the race?
So, my part, I didn't know that we were going to race it out. Thank God Mitch came over the radio and told everyone that's the rule. We're race it out. And half of the people lifted right as the caution came out, and for some reason I just kept my foot in it, and it helped me to the win.
So you guys do have a race it out, Rolo, at the end if it ends on a caution?
I believe so. I didn't read the rule book. I thought we were going off last year. I was about to lift until Mitch said go.
Well, unfortunately, I find myself in the same boat as you, having not read the rule book yet either. I was hoping you were going to bail me out, but I guess now we just let everybody know that we don't know. So maybe we can get clarification on that before next week's race. Regardless, Justin, you ran a fantastic race.
Thank you.
Certainly, you know what you're doing out there. We watched you control the inside line, the outside line. We watched you work with teammates, without teammates. You come away with the win. You earned the win. You deserve the win. You avoided wrecks. So big congratulations to you. It was a pleasure to watch you, and I'm sure you got some sponsors, friends, family that you want to give a shout-out to.
First off, I want to thank you guys. I can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast. I want to thank all the admins that do this, Ted, Mitch, Car Keepers for sponsoring the league, and everyone for showing out, and especially my teammates with Excalibur Racing.
All right. Thanks again, Justin. And we're going to let you get back to the celebration with your teammates here, and we're going to send it back to Charles so he can bring us home.
Indeed, we are going to finish it up here with all the sponsors and partners that make this possible. Here on the broadcast, starting with, of course, the broadcast side of things, we want to thank Wolves Beard Co., Sim Speed Shop, Northwest Racing Series, Ohio IndyCar League, iBog, and of course Randy's Wraps. And of course, on the racing side of things, big shout out to carkeepers.com, where they keep you moving without the hassle. Check them out at carkeepers.com. And of course, here for this special race, giving away $20, we want to give a shout out to National Pool Wholesalers. They came on just for this race. We'll see if they come on for any more, but a big shout out to them as well. That will do it here for tonight's broadcast. Of course, this was the carkeepers.com Super Speedway Series here from Daytona. We'll be back next Friday with some more racing from some Super Speedway. I believe we're at Talladega next week. So stay tuned for that. We are off tomorrow, but we'll be back Sunday with some more great racing. And as always, have a safe night, and we will see you at the next race.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be used in any form without the authorized written consent of Virtual Racing Network. VRN would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.